Welcome to Mams Talk, where Mams Talk Survivor. We're here for a very exciting podcast episode. It's finally here. The Silly Geese are going to be doing our third season.
Very excited. I'm wearing my silly goose earrings that are definitely just swans, but they are the originators of the silly goose title.
We've been
in
gearing up for
honor.
it for about a year now.
Mhm.
Survivor All In. Zach is our host, and we're really excited to be talking about the cast today, which has already been announced when you will have seen this. We're recording this before the season starts, but by the time you see it, all of the cast announcements will happen on our Instagram. So a lot of fun promo videos are up there if you're interested in that at Survivor, Silly Goose Survivor. Sorry. Yes, that's our
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes, correct. Yes. I was just doing the same. Couldn't remember which one it was. Silly Goose Survivor at Silly Goose Survivor on Instagram.
Yeah. Really fun promos, really silly and goofy and fun. And then some bios on the people as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
we're
we're
just
doing
gonna
an official rollout this year.
official rollout. Really, we're hyping it up. It should be a really good season. You and I are both competing. We're
We are.
adversaries, or
Yes. Or
perhaps
perhaps not.
perhaps not,
We'll see.
or enemies.
Yeah, I think it's important that we are filming this before the season starts because it's gonna be, I think our opinions would be tainted should we have waited till after. So we have no idea what's gonna happen with these people.
1,000% agree. I'm also like, obviously we are competing with one another. So like I don't want that to affect the way that we're talking about this today. We're going to try to be as unbiased as we can, even about ourselves. So
Mhm.
um
I
I
think we
think
do know too. I think we know too much about each other, and we know we have the same ideas about a lot of other things. So I think that there's not going to be a lot of osmosis of perhaps secret information happening on this podcast. I think it's all pretty much out in the open.
yeah, no metagaming
Yeah.
from here. Yeah, so without further ado, we're just gonna get into it. So our first cast member is me.
Oh my God, there she is.
There she is. For those who don't know, I was the host and game maker of our first two seasons, Manhattan and Skinny Atlas, but it's my first time playing. Super excited. I've edited everyone,
Mm-hmm.
so it should be like, I don't know, like I feel like I've seen everyone's game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that this is a really interesting addition to the cast. I mean, it's like I think a lot of people have this idea that you're gonna like be this all-knowing being, but I think that you almost are at an insane disadvantage.
Oh, 1,000% at a disadvantage, especially for a first time player.
Yeah.
Never have played such a game. But because I have made it, I think there is this notion that like I know what I'm doing. But I don't
Mhm.
know if that's true. Well, I
I
mean,
almost think,
I hope I do.
yeah, I almost think that your insight into the mechanics of the game are perhaps going to cause you to overthink certain aspects of your gameplay in
Mm.
a way that maybe someone who's a little bit less privy to the behind the scenes would. Um, but I think you're going to give good TV at the very least because you know how important filming those
Yeah.
pivotal moments is.
Definitely. I also think that our marriage might become an issue. Even
I
if we
think
don't work
so.
together, I think people are automatically going to pin us as a duo, which is
Yes.
even more reason to be targeting the big targets in both of us, really.
Yeah, I think that we kind of have perhaps set ourselves up for failure here.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to be seen as like the masterminding duo of the season. I don't think that that's going to be true at all. Because I think both of us are coming in it with huge targets on our backs,
Yeah.
as
I
Dylan would say.
also as someone who was involved in the casting process, because I'm like also like sort of a producer, I tried really hard not to like meta game and like play God of like who would help me in the game. Like just you're not gonna help me. Let's be clear about that.
No.
But I think the viewers would like to see the return.
Of course, and also I would be mad at you if you didn't let me play.
Oh. Yeah. But we do have a fair amount of first time players.
Yeah,
Up little less than half.
yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. It's a pretty even split of return. Well, what's interesting is now with 2 seasons, we have a lot of people. Have a few people who played both seasons. We have a good amount of people from Manhattan only and from Skinny Atlas only, and then we have the true newbies. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. I'm also Max's twin. I don't
Yes.
think people are necessarily going to be targeting us together.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. I think there are stronger obvious duos that are happening here that I don't know if we're gonna be the ones that people are gonna hone in on. But worth noting, we
Yeah.
are blood related.
I personally never view you guys as like, oh, I know they're working. They're causing mischief
Inseparable.
together.
Do love my bro. My
I think you
broski.
guys have a healthy level of competition
Yeah.
amongst yourselves that you wouldn't think twice about potentially voting him out.
Yeah. Bottom line is I'm gonna do whatever is best for my game. So I guess let's talk about my strengths and weaknesses. Strengths. And you talk.
Strengths?
Talk me up about my
Okay,
strengths.
I'll talk. I'm ready.
ahead.
Your strengths are that you have a very good I don't want to limit it only to puzzles, but like a very good puzzle mind, which I think could apply both to puzzles and challenges and also like your placement in the game. I think that that's probably going, and then your knowledge of the game. Both of those
Yeah.
are going to like give you the best leg up. I think that, however, I don't think that you are a very like game body, and I think that that's a good thing because I think you can also appeal to your like emotional side to form like relationships. You're very loyal. However, both of those things could also be weaknesses.
Yeah, I was just about to say
your emotions and your loyalty potentially could get in the way of you making the best game move. I think you have all the pieces of a very good player. It's just whether or not you can make them work together in your favor.
Yeah. And obviously the big weakness is that there's a lot of perceptions about me.
Yeah. And that's not in your control.
You gotta work with what you got.
But yeah, you gotta work with what you got.
I think that's it for me. Anything else to say?
I'm just really excited to see you play.
Me too.
And I hope you don't get voted out first.
That would be devastating if I wasn't able to plan this season. It's actually been painful not to be like, because I have so many like good ideas for what I would do if I were planning like a gambling season. And to not be a part of that and then get out early, it would crush my soul.
I do think that that's actually interesting. I feel like thinking about the theme of the season, which I have not really been thinking about because this is going to inherently be a little bit different. I think you have a good gambling mind. Do you disagree? You disagree? I think that you have probably the best.
Too much of a risk taker.
That's fair. But I think that's going to help you. And I also think the fact that other people are going to have to take risks is going to help you. Like, I think the fact that this is a non-traditional season maybe will let you hide behind some of the chaos of the mechanics of the game.
That's fair.
And I think that that's true for everyone who has like a target on their back coming in.
Very true. Excited to see what Zach has planned for that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to our second contestant here. It's you.
Oh
Hi, Jess. Oh my God, there
Who's
you
that?
are. You're in your signature green.
Yeah, my signature outfit. This outfit is so iconic of me. I just have to say, I've been trying to pick my outfit for this year, and I haven't been able to come close to this very cute shirt that I'm wearing. So.
It is cute. Yeah. But also like neutral.
Yes. Yeah. It was also very functionally comfortable, I will say.
Very important. So let's talk about some of your stats. Your first season in Manhattan, you got 7th place, and that is out of 12 people. So not amazing, but you did make it to the jury portion. Yeah. And then
as we were just saying, everyone was on the jury that season, but I did make it to to post merge. So that was my goal for season 1. I didn't really think I had a good chance of winning. I was honestly surprised I made it as far as I did. And then yeah, obviously winner of season 2, once again, was not expecting that to happen for me. I have very low hopes for how I'll finish this year. I think that maybe my pre-jury era is perhaps upon us. But I'm trying to stay positive, and just sort of blend in to the background and hope I can make it at least a jury. I just really would like to be on the jury to vote for the winner, but
I mean, at least because you won already, like if you get out early, you're like, well, you know, I already won.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying to
So
Kay that like I think this season's weird because I both have nothing to prove and everything to prove. It's like I have, you know, I already won, I did it, like no one can take that away from me. So even if I do really badly this season, it's like whatever, I already won. But it's also like I feel like I need to like prove that I, you know, it wasn't just like a one-off thing. But
oh, and she's sick.
I'm sorry.
Weakness number 1.
Okay, wait. I have my Survivor mug of
Oh,
tea.
I love that mug. Great mug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta
20 years. 20
stay
years, 40
healthy. We
seasons.
can't have you dropping
Mhm.
out the week before.
I've just been listen, I don't even think I'm sick. I've just been talking a lot lately. So
Yep, you're a
my throat is
yapper.
a bit raw. Yeah.
Um,
Listen, okay, well, speaking of yapper, let's talk about weaknesses.
yeah, well, let's talk about your allegiances first, I
Mhm.
think. So people
Yeah.
you've worked with in the past, Allie, you guys had that final 2.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think is a big reason that you got to the end. You're a very
Mhm.
strong duo.
Yeah.
Ella, you worked with both seasons, but you did kind of betray her.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I think it's a loose allegiance, both seasons.
Yeah, I think it was a very circumstantial allegiance from both our ends. Like, I don't think that either of us were trying to like die on the sword for each other in either season. I'm pretty sure Ella was like playing me a lot in the
Yeah.
first season, and then I was playing her a lot in the second season.
Yeah.
So it's
So I don't know
really
that there's a lot of trust happening there.
no.
I
I
think
think
the Allie.
especially
Sorry, go ahead.
I think especially from her, I think I would maybe be more willing to trust her than maybe she would be willing to trust me. I feel like that's probably where we're
Yeah.
at.
Allie, I think could go either way. Again, I think
Mhm.
the cards are really in her hands here, like what she
Yeah.
wants to do. And then Grant, I don't think is going to trust you at all.
Nope. And I also don't think that I am planning to trust him either because it was such a hot fucking mess last year. So, I mean, like, even though he ended up being loyal, there was so much stuff happening amongst that alliance that I just feel like I would rather just avoid it to like save myself the stress.
Yeah.
So I don't really foresee being able to rely on any of these people.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any like solid bonds going in except for me, obviously.
Yeah. I think if Zach was playing, we'd have a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that my best bet for a previous relationship would be working with Allie. But I think that Allie is going to perhaps not bank on me for it to be her ticket to the end this year. So
Yeah.
it would need to be a completely different way of working together.
I agree.
Yeah.
So strengths. Let's talk about your strengths. I think you have a very logical brain. You really like think
Mhm.
through all of your options and you don't get very emotional, unlike me. But I also think in some ways that is your weakness because
Mhm.
you can be too like matter of fact about
Mhm.
things and
Yeah.
then it can rub people the wrong way. Like you
Yeah.
don't have like a sense of empathy because you get so in game mode.
Yeah.
It is almost game body.
It is. It is. I think that
Yeah.
I think that way a lot in life, and it definitely bleeds in to yeah, like I feel it's very easy for me to separate the game and like personal relationships, at least from the end of like me making the moves. So and like I've not yet been like, you know, blindsided or like betrayed really in the game. So I mean, I'm curious to see what I would feel in that capacity, but I do have an issue where I kind of forget that like we're playing with real people.
Yeah.
Because to me it's just a game, so I'm able to just sort of be like, oh well, it obviously makes sense to get rid of this person, but then I don't think about like the implications of that, and then the way that that kind of bites me is with the jury portion of it, as we saw in
Yeah.
Scan.
I also think you're someone in a competitive sense, like in challenges, like you're very like middling, which I think
Mhm.
is a strength ultimately.
Yeah.
Like I think you do enough to like to get you through, but not like target you. Like you're not like, oh
Mhm.
my God, she's so smart, like she's solving every puzzle so fast,
Yeah.
she's like running, um, like you're doing just good enough. And I
I would
think
agree.
that's yeah.
Yeah. I know, because I did like enough notable things in the tribal challenges to not be like I was never really looked at as a pre-merge boot, because I was doing like I did one good thing every challenge pretty much. And then even when we got to like the bucket challenge, I like did the worst out of literally everyone. I mean, we won, so I don't know what would have happened if like we had lost, but like no one even noticed because I had like previously been doing like, so like my
Yeah.
mistakes were able to be masked by like equal amounts of benefit.
Yeah. I'm
And
curious to
then
see how I do with the challenges. I think I'm also gonna be
yeah,
kind of middling. That's
yeah.
my
I know. And maybe
inclination.
that's the way to go.
Maybe that's the
I
way to
do think it's
go.
like it's tough. It depends on not being able to win individual immunity is very difficult if you need it. You know,
Right.
like I
Definitely.
was lucky enough to not need to win individual immunity. So like my inability to win the individual challenges until the very end didn't really like matter.
Yep, take your sip.
That was the end of my sentence.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
said matter, which
Yeah,
was
I know. I
indicating that you
realized,
might have
yeah.
more to say.
Yeah, no, it didn't really matter.
Yeah,
But not
no, that's
everyone is
fine.
gonna be able to like be in the same position of like you're gonna perhaps need
Right.
to save yourself with individual immunity,
Yeah.
like a
I
collective
think a
immunity win.
potential weakness of yours is playing from the bottom, which is you're gonna have to
Oh
do in
yeah.
some capacity this year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be like as scrappy as I need to be able to get like win those challenges when everyone's targeted against me, find idols when everyone's targeting against me. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to like sweet talk my way out of a situation. I think that I work very well when I have the power.
Yeah, I think you can easily feel like dejected.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Manhattan when like
Yeah.
you were on the bottom, and I think there were things you could have done, but you're like, well,
Yeah.
they're probably voting me out anyway, so I'm not gonna try
Yeah.
that hard.
Yeah, I do think I wouldn't do that again. I think I would try my best.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think I think that the issue with Manhattan was the time constraint. I felt like it was a losing battle. So I hope that I will be able to, if the target seems to be on me, I can try and like explore all my options with a little bit more time. And once again, I think this risk reward thing, like if there's like a mechanic where I'm able to like risk something for high reward, I might be able to save myself in some other kind of like mechanical way.
Yeah, very true.
So yeah, no, I'm really trying to just be like along for the ride. I want to just have fun.
Enjoy
Um,
yourself.
I think that I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun last year. But I think I was extremely stressed out and preoccupied with the gaming, which to me is very like the thinking through all the plans is like very fun. I really, really enjoyed it, but I'm trying to have a more like silly time this time
Yeah.
around.
Let, let's
Hang out with
let's
my
let's let
friends.
loose a little bit. All
Yeah.
right, so we're gonna move on to our next contestant, Olivia, who is
Let's
our
go.
first season winner of Manhattan. She's back. She's here with vengeance.
Mhm.
She is here with her long-term boyfriend of I think like something crazy, like 9 years or
I
something.
think like yeah, same as us probably. Like
Yeah, I think they've
ish.
been dating like
Yeah.
a long time. So certainly a tight bond
Mhm.
that is going to be coming into this game. Um, and she's also here with her roommate, Roos, who they've also known each other for a long,
Mhm.
long time. Um, so she does have some previous allegiances. Caroline probably being the strongest one here because
Yeah.
they both made it to the final two. and kind of like work together. Allie and
Mhm.
CJ more loosely in like a
Mhm.
tribe
Yeah.
like alliance, but I don't think either of them are going to be coming into this with inherently the idea of working with
Yeah.
Olivia.
I do also think that it's important that she didn't place Skinny Atlas. So thinking about like Caroline and Allie, they have a more recent game in their head rather than when they worked with Olivia. So I'm curious how that's gonna like impact their relationship with her. Like it's now 2 seasons ago, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got a lot of eyes on her because she won
Definitely.
that first time. She's a very good competitor. She
Yes.
was super smart. She's physical. I know she did like cross country.
Hmm.
Um, and I think she has a really good mind for the game that's like masked by this like silliness.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if people are necessarily reading her as like a serious player in that way because she is like so silly that
Hmm.
it's hard to like look behind the silliness.
I
But
do think
I'll tell you
that
something, I am.
I think that it's gonna be harder for her to mask herself with the silliness because she won. Like
Hmm.
that was her game the first time. So I don't know if it's gonna work the second time. After everyone had like, has watched the season and seen like, that she was thinking the whole time and that kind of thing. So I I don't know. I feel like she might need to switch it up. But I do think she has a really good ability to like distract.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
slippery.
I, I will say I think a strength of hers is you cannot predict what she's going to do. She's very unpredictable, um, which means like you can't really plan for her. Someone like you, this is
Hmm.
your kryptonite. You can't
Yeah.
be thinking logically
Yes, I do
because
think this is
she's
really
over here.
interesting.
She's over here. She's over here.
I do think it's really interesting that like me and her are the two winners because we're so different. And we're gonna be like looked at in very different ways. And we just play very differently. I do think both of us have a benefit with the other one being here. That's a strength for both because if it was just me or just her, I think it would be a little bit more obvious of like, oh, winner's got to go, but both of us being here, I feel like maybe we can deflect upon each other a bit.
Yeah. And she's coming in with I would say a pretty tight three. I don't know if they're going to work together, but
Hmm.
they are pretty close as like a little pod.
Yeah, they all live
And
together.
I think at
So
the very least people are going to be perceiving them as like a trio.
yeah, for sure.
Any other strengths, weaknesses? I will say
No.
a weakness of hers is because she's so unpredictable, sometimes she says things
Yes.
that maybe get her in trouble. Like
Hmm.
she can't keep a lot of things in.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of like allies. I think she knows like what pieces of information she wants to keep, but in
Yeah.
terms of keeping other people's secrets, I don't know if people are going to trust her with information, which is really crucial in this game.
Yes, I do actually agree because I know a lot of people were like worried to tell her things by about like halfway through the game in Manhattan. Um Everyone was kind of like she can't keep a secret. We can't bring her in
Hmm.
on like whatever like plans are happening. Um and like she was luckily able to play like kind of an independently driven game that season, but if she's going to be left out of votes and stuff, it's probably not going to bode well for her. Um yeah.
Yeah, again, this is a person you can't prepare a lot
Yeah.
for, so I don't have a lot more to
Yeah.
say. Good luck to Olivia.
I'm extremely
Um,
excited to see her play again.
extremely excited. Even if
Yeah.
I go, I think this is a fantastic person to be bringing back,
We need to talk about the fact that Olivia makes good TV.
and she does, despite previous claims. So we're gonna
Mhm.
move on to her man's GMAC. He will most likely be referred to as GMAC by everyone except for Olivia, who will most likely be calling him Mackenzie. So just worth noting, as the season opens, but it is his first time playing. He was supposed to play Manhattan, but he could not do it at last second. But let's talk about his strengths. What's he got going on? What's his story?
Well, my main thing about GMAC is that he is just such a likable guy. And
He's
that's
so
gonna get
likable.
him far. Uh he's so like fun. He's very easygoing. He's very kind. I think that everyone's gonna like click really well with him, even if they don't know him. So I don't necessarily think him not knowing as many people is gonna like hurt him that much, because I think he can just really kind of, he's charismatic, he can get along with anyone, in my experience. So I feel like he kind of, and I think, yeah, I feel like he's kind of set up for success with that.
I
He's
agree. I
also,
think
sorry, go ahead.
I feel that you were about to say the same thing, but he's very physical as well, which is I think at the very least going to take him far in the tribe portion of this game. I think he's going to do very well in the pre-merge challenges.
Do we know how much he knows the game?
I think he's at least watched Olivia on Manhattan. I don't know if they've watched any real I know Olivia has at least watched one season. I don't know if he was a part of that watching experience.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel, I think that he is maybe able, the fact that he has a connection with Olivia who has won, I think is going to give him, she'll be able to help him with the like, if they are planning to work together, help him with the mechanics of the game that he maybe isn't as like familiar with. So that's a benefit as well.
I will say, just based on what I know about him, I can't see him being like that strategically like oriented. Not that he doesn't have it in him, but he is just kind of like someone that's very like go with the flow kind of deal. So I think that could be a potential weakness of him, just like maybe like listening to what other people say and not making his own plans.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Did you have something else in mind?
I was just thinking that him and Olivia are like so different that if this is assuming they plan to work together as some kind of duo, it could either really benefit them because they'll be a very like diverse duo who has different strengths, or they might like be at odds of like what the best plan is, or like Olivia will end up like making the decisions and he'll kind of just follow along. So it might not work out like ideally for him potentially.
I think, and he's someone who's also, I think, has like a loyal Cancer. He's a fellow Cancer. He's a fellow Cancer.
Cancer monitor. Everyone's gonna be loyal.
Yeah. So I think he's going to want to work with Olivia and Roos. Now, if Olivia specifically wants to work with him / backstab him, that is what she's gonna do. You know, I don't know.
What's
we
don't
know. Unclear. I think I have at least what her
I mean, she's giving me fire. But
let me find out. She might be a fire sign. I'm gonna find this out for you. She is a fire sign.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Wait. She's a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Me and her are born very close together.
Very close together. Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's GMAC. Really excited to see him. He's a really fun guy. Yeah, I think he's gonna be a good addition to the cast.
Wait, sorry, can we just talk about how both winners are Sagittarius? That's kind of
any
crazy.
More sad?
Gabby. Yeah. Well, maybe good looks for her.
Maybe. All right. Moving on. So this is Roos. This is the roommate of GMAC and Olivia. He's longtime friend. He has recently started watching actual Survivor, which got him really pumped up to potentially play. And luckily for him, someone did have to drop out sort of last minute, so he is playing and he's really excited to play. I think he's gonna give it his all. He was doing production, but now he's here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him play. He has like, I would consider him to have a game-oriented brain. You'd say that's true, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's also like a very logical person.
Yeah. And he's funny, he's fun to be around. I think he'll bring a good energy.
I agree. I would say like a weakness of his is just not inherently being as close with some people on the cast. You know, people might just go to people they're naturally like really like close friends with. But if he can like hit the ground running, I think he's got a really good chance because he's not necessarily like that threatening. in like his presence or like physicality or anything,
Yeah.
but I think he
Yeah.
can like hold his own.
Yeah, he does have like a disarming presence. I would say the same about like GMAC. Like both of them are pretty approachable people. So I think that they will, even though they are starting at a disadvantage, not knowing as many people, I think that they have a good possibility of being able to break through existing groups.
Yeah, I think in general with the three of them, if they can just not be so much in a pod, like
Mhm.
I think they're gonna do fine.
I do
Especially the
also think,
boys.
yeah, I do also think like if we're thinking about like the win equity of like a new player, I think that there's a lot of history with a lot of people that's maybe not so like who played before, that's maybe not like going to lead to a lot of loyalty and trust, which I think is going to open up the game for new people because, you know, the returning players are going to want to like find some new blood to kind of work with and they could use that to their advantage.
Fantastic point. That's very true. Yeah, there's a lot of distrust amongst the returners for
I
sure.
don't think anyone is like a guaranteed like well, we'll talk about it as we go, I guess. But like yeah, I think there's a lot of as Grant would say, fractious relationships that have formed.
Yes.
So
100%. But yeah, Roos, really, really sweet guy. I mean, look at this
yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
He looks so kind. Look at those eyes. You would trust him with your secrets.
Definitely. No, actually I don't know if I would trust him with my secrets. He kind of gives me like he's slippery, but in like a subtle way. I think
Mm,
maybe some people who don't know him or like this is the first time they're meeting him, I think maybe would perhaps find him more trustworthy. I'll say that.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. All right, now we have Allie. Oh boy.
Here she is.
Here she is. So her first season, let's talk about the stats. She
Mhm.
got sixth place. She was the first blindsided
Mhm.
of her tribe alliance,
Yeah.
once they got rid of all of the dragon fruits. So I think people were already looking at her as a threat. And then because she didn't perform that well the first time, she was able to kind of sneak by and use that
Mhm.
underestimating to her advantage in Skinny Atlas,
Yeah.
which got her second place. Almost won.
Yeah. Yeah. Very close to winning.
You could have been the number two here, but
Definitely.
so let's just talk about previous allegiances. You, obviously, which
Mhm.
we've talked about. Caroline a little bit. Again, I think this is like a very loose allegiance. I think
Yes.
if it helps both of them, they would do it, but I don't know if there's an inherent trust there.
Yeah. I mean, Allie was like, she was partially piloting the get Caroline out as soon as we can ship, you know, a
Definitely.
little bit. Like they had that pre-merge, make it to the merge and then all bets are off kind of thing that they had going on. But Allie has said in the past, she can't, she feels like she can't work with Caroline because she just can't tell when she's being manipulated. And then she'll find herself wrapped up in these plans that are like, wait, how did
No.
I get here? Like, wait, how did I end up agreeing to this? You know?
She's like, wait,
Uh,
this doesn't help me at all.
yeah, like, because Caroline's like very, like, she has a very clear idea of what she wants, and she's very good at convincing people that that's also best for them. And Allie famously is very agreeable and goes with the flow in that way. So I think they're a perfect storm for getting Caroline as far as she can go. I do think that Allie could use that to her benefit should she be able to like be aware of her placement with Caroline, like realize that she's being manipulated, continue to keep the relationship alive, but maybe don't just blindly follow everything Caroline's saying.
Yeah. Okay. So we have CJ, whom she worked with in Manhattan. CJ did betray her. However,
Mhm.
I don't know that Allie's really holding that against him.
No, I do think a lot of the things that happen in Manhattan are probably, I think just again, like I mentioned, like Skinny Atlas is the most recent season. I think those betrayals and relationships are going to feel more relevant than the ones
Mhm.
from Manhattan, just in general. So I think CJ is potentially coming in with an open playing field for himself.
Yeah.
I think I could
I could,
definitely
yeah.
see Allie and CJ working together.
I 100% agree. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, Olivia, again, I think they worked with each other kind of out of convenience. Don't know
Mhm.
if there's a lot of loyalty there currently.
I'm sure Allie's looking sideways at Olivia being a winner, and
Definitely.
yeah.
I think she's someone who's underestimating her less than others are.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think her eyes are more open.
Yeah.
So let's talk about her strengths.
What's her strength?
What's her strength? She's super likable. She's just
Mhm.
someone you want to keep around because she's like funny and like she like is very inviting. Like she
Yeah.
makes you feel very comfortable. Um, and we saw this last year when like people just like gravitated to her.
Yeah,
Even
people
like
like they really just want to keep her around because she's like fun, and like her real life friends are very like prone to keeping her around because she's very good at making you feel like your friendship is like, it matters in this alliance. Like it's very she's very loyal at the end of the day. She does feel bad about like cutting ties, which I think is part of why her likability works so much, because it
yeah.
feels like it's real. And I think a lot of times it is. She's also fantastic at talking to new people, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
huge.
She's our
Like
big
I was,
extrovert here.
yeah, like I was saying, because the new people are gonna be extremely valuable for the returning players. I think she has a very good chance of being able to like rally the troops of the new people, even if she does not have a prior connection to them. So
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah,
gonna be huge
she's
for
just
her.
someone like in real life that like when people talk to her, they're just like, "Wow, I want to be your
Yeah,
friend."
yeah, and they
And
like to
that
tell her secrets.
mhm,
Like they will share things with her.
that
Yeah,
translates
she's
here.
definitely.
Yeah.
And like I think she ultimately is playing the character that she's playing is really just herself, and like all of those things bleed into the game for sure.
Yeah. And she's also like not doesn't have like a threatening presence either. Like
Yeah.
she's not very good at challenges. Sorry, Allie, I love
Yeah.
you so much.
She almost won the buckets.
She not that she's terrible at all of them,
Yeah.
but I think overall she is on the
Yeah.
worst side of
Hmm.
challenge performance. I don't think she would disagree with that.
Yeah.
But again, because like people are like, oh, we don't have to worry about Allie, like she can stay in the game.
Yeah.
Like people do keep
Yes.
her. Um,
I
so I
also
think that's a
don't
strength for her.
I also don't think that people are really going to think about the fact that she made it to second place and almost won, like lost by one vote. Like, I feel like she's so disarming that people are literally going to forget that fact. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, even on looking at this picture, I'm like, oh, that's just
yeah.
Allie.
Like, I think people like in the game she played last year was extremely undercover, and like a lot of people didn't realize what she was doing either until Final Tribal Council when she was talking about it or watching the show back.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I feel like even so, I don't think that it's gonna be the same like and I don't think she's gonna be looked at in the same way, say Caroline was for getting second place, if that makes
She's
sense.
also really good at downplaying herself, like in a self-deprecating way.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna come in and be like, oh man, like I suck at this, this, and this, and like and
Yeah.
in a way that is very like it feels very genuine, and then that people will
Yeah.
believe it. And
Yeah.
she's really good at that. Okay, so let's talk about
Yeah.
weaknesses. We did talk about
Yeah.
challenge performance. It's possible,
Yeah.
especially we have an 18-person cast.
Mm-hmm.
If a tribe is losing really bad and she is a reason for that, even
Yeah.
though she is not, does have that like non-threatening aura, they might just have to do it because they need to
Yeah.
like survive.
Yeah. Right. I think a weakness is that she made it to second place and almost won by one vote. I think that, like, even though I said I don't think a lot of people are going to think about it, there's also a world in where everyone is thinking about it. So that's inherently going to put a target on her back in the same way it will me and Olivia.
Yeah.
Um,
I also
I'm
just
trying.
think if people like catch on to the fact that she is so likable, that could be a weakness. Like
Yeah,
if people start being like, wait, everyone likes Allie,
yeah,
we could
that
tune
was
in.
a big thing last year too. It's like we like no one was realizing that like Allie was like never targeted each round. She like hadn't gotten her name written down since until like the second last vote. Like that is all very it is all very threatening if people are looking at it in the right way.
I
But
will say, she has a very good social game. I don't know if her like game brain, like strategy brain is as strong.
Mhm.
And a season like
Mhm.
this with the like
Yeah.
gambling theme,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how she does.
Mhm.
If I were to like bet on it, I don't think that she would quite have the mind for that, but we'll see.
Yeah, the game theory mind of it all that
Right.
you kind of need to figure out like risk reward. I
But she
think
is
she
very
also is
smart,
generally
so
she is, yeah.
she
I
has it
think
in
she's
her.
generally risk averse
I agree.
actually, which I think is going to be I don't know what's going to happen with the mechanics of the season, but I think that being risk averse is I would assume is going to have some downsides in this game because the risk prone people are going to be the ones who are getting the rewards if there's some kind of risk reward mechanism. So that could definitely be a downside. She's also terrible at finding idols, but so is half the cast. So
Yeah, maybe Zach will be better at, you know,
yeah,
hiding them.
perhaps we'll see.
Yeah.
But
All right.
honestly, I don't think there's a lot of weaknesses for Allie. I think she's a very
She's
well-rounded
a strong
player.
player for sure.
Yeah.
So that's Allie. We're gonna move on to Caroline, who we've discussed a couple times already
Mhm.
this podcast. But let's start with Manhattan, where she got second place. I think there's a common thought by a lot of people, not everyone, that perhaps she should have won.
Mhm.
So I think that did put a big target on her back when she returned,
Yeah.
especially when Olivia was not present. She
Yes.
just
Yeah.
inherently was the biggest threat and did get out first in the first jury member.
Yes. Yeah. I am honestly hoping that Caroline's able to play this game with not such a huge target on her back. I think that it, in her benefit, there are bigger fish to fry, I think, than Caroline at
Yeah.
this.
Or at
As
least
far
there are
as
other options now.
other
I think
options,
before it
yeah.
was like she was kind of like the lone duck, you know,
Yeah.
a goose, if you will. Um, who like no one else had played like a great game except for
Yeah.
her. So
Right.
she was just like, well, I guess Caroline's gotta go.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it is very impressive that she made it to 10,
Yes.
considering.
She's extremely good at talking her way out of things and talking other people into things. She has a very
And
clear idea of what she wants to happen, and she usually is able to make it happen.
yeah, and if we just look at our previous allegiances here, you can see if you really like look into each of those people that she did just that with all of them, like talk them into things that were her agenda
Yeah,
and made
right.
it seem like they were beneficial to her. So
Exactly.
Olivia in their first season, Max, who like she basically like, I don't know, like I don't want to say
Told
had
him, yeah.
wrapped around her finger, but like I would say they were like Max was attached to her hip, like for
Yeah.
sure. And then CJ, she literally convinced him to vote out his wife.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Allie, in the pre-merge kind of like played her a little bit. And then but Allie did figure it out.
Yes, yeah. Allie was able to open her eyes day two to I can't have Caroline around because I'm literally gonna do anything she tells me to do. But I mean that ability to talk people into doing what you want is like she's so good at it, and it's very I think she's like good at it to a level that I don't think anyone else is reaching on
I
this
agree.
cast. It's just unfortunately people are aware that that is something that she is able to do now because she played such a strong game in Manhattan and then was able to almost replicate it in Skinny Atlas. So it's not just like a one-off thing, coincidence that happened. Like it's just a skill she has.
Yeah. I will say because of the new cast that we have, if she can like pull in the right people, I think she can still use that to her advantage. And she's someone who does have a kind of disarming presence to her,
Yeah.
even though you kind of know that something might be shitty. You're like, oh, I could probably trust Caroline.
Yeah.
At least right now.
For sure. At least for now. Yeah. At least for
and
this vote.
she's also someone who's very strong challenge-wise.
Definitely. She's a very well suited for a lot of
Well-rounded.
Yeah.
Super well-rounded.
Physically and mentally. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really strong. She can do puzzle. I mean, she's got
smarts, she's got puzzle. What did Dylan say?
I don't remember. It was like she's got running, she's got smarts, she's got puzzle. Yeah, she's a very
Yeah,
well-rounded player,
correct.
for sure.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
that is part of her weakness as well, though. Like if she's doing
Yeah.
too well, people are gonna, catch on to that and be like, she's
Yeah.
gotta go.
I think her biggest weakness, aside from the target on her back that she inherently has, is the fact that she is not the most adaptable person in terms
That's
of
fair.
working with others. It's more she has an idea and the idea is very good for her, but if she can't convince someone else to do it, she isn't sure exactly what to do after that. She doesn't want to like fold and do something that someone else would want if it's not going
Yeah.
to be like her plan that she came up with. So hopefully she can uh you know maybe figure out a way to manipulate those situations better for her game this year.
Yeah. I agree. Now that I'm thinking about it, like she hasn't ever gone with someone else's plan, which I think is important to do at least
Mhm.
sometimes, so people don't
Yeah,
just think that you're like trying to be a leader.
definitely. You want to like
But
be adaptable and collaborate and listen, if you will.
stop, collaborate, and listen.
Yeah.
But
So
Caroline's gonna be back this time with a brand
yes,
new edition.
with a
That's a continuation of that song.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's okay.
Sorry.
We don't
Sorry.
have
Sorry.
it's
Sorry.
it's okay. Maybe some people at home will get it in what, like 2 months or whatever when this comes out.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Caroline. She's hopefully learned from her mistakes, I think. And I think she has a better chance this time
Yes. I
than she
honestly
did
really
last
do.
time.
I really do want to see her succeed.
Me too.
Yeah.
And if I go early, I'm gonna root for her. Unless she backstabs.
I mean, I was one of the two Caroline votes. Gotta ride for my girl.
All right. That brings us to CJ, who famously was convinced by Caroline to
Yeah.
vote out his wife. But yes, he got third place. He was a no vote finalist.
Mhm.
Because he did play a good game, but a lot of the plans that he had, he could not enact because of time
Mhm.
constraints. So,
Yes.
hopefully he's gonna have more hustle this
Mhm.
time. We will have more time to talk, but
Yeah.
I think he needs to like, get the ball rolling on some things.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't seen him play a more long form version of the game. So I'm excited because he really did have a lot of great ideas. And I was really like, while even though I knew how the season panned out, I was like watching it afterwards and I was like, come on, just save Jess, save Jess.
Maybe if
Get
I
rid of
believe hard
Olivia,
enough,
save Jess.
things will change.
But yeah, no, he had like good ideas. He was trying to shake up the game. That was what that game needed. It was a little bit of a boring tribal line situation until like the final five. So I was really hoping that he could have gotten some of his plans to go through. I
Yeah.
really
I
enjoyed
mean, he's
watching.
someone that's gonna, shake things up. Like he
Yeah.
wanted to shake things up um in Manhattan. I think that this theme in particular is gonna be really enticing for him, and he's
Yeah.
not gonna be afraid to take risks.
No, he's definitely not risk averse. I am excited to see what he brings to the table, having learned what he's learned in the first season. Yeah, I feel like he's also kind of a wild card, like not someone you can super plan for.
Definitely. Worth noting that he is going to be here with his brother-in-law, Steven.
Mhm.
They are very close. They've known each other for quite a while now.
Yes,
And I think at least people are going to be perceiving them as a duo, even if they do not actually
definitely.
work together.
Both of them are wild cards, so I'm
Certainly.
curious to find out. Yeah.
But
I
I
do
think
think
because of that, they have like similar brain. I think they think
yes.
similarly about things, which is beneficial to them.
I do also think that even though CJ famously voted for his wife, he is very loyal.
Yeah, well, he thought
And
that, because Caroline
so
convinced
that's the
him, yeah,
yes.
that,
Right, yeah. He thought that he was doing it in response to being betrayed. So he
yeah,
was, but I think he still would have liked to continue to work with her had he thought she was loyal.
right.
So I think that the family bond definitely is still something to consider with the two of them.
I agree. So with that being said, Caroline and him did work together, but I think he is a little uh tender about the situation
Yeah.
with Caroline and Olivia specifically, that they were
Yeah.
able to convince him of voting out his wife. I don't think there's a lot of trust there. Now, Allie, we've talked about a little bit, even though he was like partially responsible for voting her out. I don't think either of them are really like thinking about that hard, and they are very close as like actual friends. So
Yes.
I could definitely see them coming together.
Definitely. I also could definitely see Ellie coming in to work with Stephen as well, who she is fairly close with.
Yeah.
I also do think, despite what I have said about Skinny Atlas being a buffer between Manhattan, CJ didn't play Skinny Atlas. He's going to be thinking about the feelings from Manhattan more than other people will.
100%.
So I think that those relationships, specifically with Caroline and Olivia, definitely may come to light.
Yeah, I also think a strength of his is that um because he's a zero vote finalist, I don't know that people like are thinking of him as like a threatening
Mhm.
presence.
Yeah, I would
And
agree.
I think at least in a fiscal sense he will be good in challenges.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good in challenges. He was disappointed in Manhattan that he didn't win any individual challenges. So I think maybe whether he's prepping or just, mentally preparing maybe to do better in those, hopefully he can pull out a win there. But he was very, very good at the tribal challenges. I don't think that's going to be an issue for him.
I think he
Hope
definitely is capable of winning
Yeah,
individual challenges. It just like didn't work for him.
yeah. I think he perhaps was underestimating his competition in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So maybe say like Olivia kept winning and he wasn't expecting her to do that. So I hopefully he can be more prepared in those situations. I also think he needs to perhaps work on managing his physical threat level in the pre-merge, because he definitely was being looked at as a threatening presence challenge wise in that capacity, but then his inability to win the individual challenges kind of let him, slide a bit more under the radar by the end. So yeah, just being anyone good at challenges needs to be cautious of their threat level.
Yeah. I also think he's someone who can kind of roll with the punches. Like,
Yeah,
I think he's someone who's, if even if he's in like a bad position, he's someone who could like claw his way out of it.
I
I don't
agree.
think he's someone who's going to be like, down and out about his place in the game.
Yeah, for sure. He's a go-getter.
He's a go-getter. But I will
Yeah.
say in weaknesses, I think similar to Caroline, I think they can both be kind of like in their ways about a plan, and if it
Hmm.
doesn't work, like they have a hard time seeing that other people have other plans.
Yeah,
So, I think that could be a weakness for him
for sure.
potentially.
Yeah. But
Especially with so many people now, like you got to check in
yeah,
with a lot of people.
yes. I do think has a very charismatic and generally likable presence as well. So with new people he hasn't met, I think he's going to come off very well with those people.
I think
And he has a
that's
lot
true.
of existing friendships as well too. So I think socially he's set up pretty good.
I agree. Yeah. And especially we have equal men and women now.
Hmm.
I think that he's gonna be really cool with the boys, and
Yeah.
he's good with the girls too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a less
Like
threatening man.
he can bro down, but he also like has a little, I don't want to say like feminine side, but he's like
Yeah.
not afraid to like talk about like more feminine things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, he's not giving like red flags to women
Yeah, he's
who
not
want to
like
talk to him.
insecure about his masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
which
All
is
right.
which is a good thing. Yeah.
Definitely a green flag.
Yeah.
So that's CJ. Hopefully he will be back with a different Venom shirt or the same one. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
I really need to see which one comes. I know he's gotten a new one, so I'm excited.
Oh my God.
I think he is wearing his new one.
I we need it. So
Yeah.
this is Steven. This is the first time playing. He is CJ's brother-in-law. He is the youngest of the cast. He just graduated
Yes. Yeah.
college, fresh on the job market. Really, really sweet kid. I mean, look at him.
I know.
He's just like a little happy guy.
He's just a little
He's
guy.
got his little bowl of beans. But yeah, he has been like really enthusiastic about both of the seasons that have come out. And
Mhm.
after Skinny Atlas had dropped, he literally was like, I will do anything to play this next season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
of course he had to be on. Come
Yes.
on.
We had to make it happen. Yeah, I'm
Um
so excited to see him play. I'm beyond.
Certainly
He
wild
is
card
so
energy.
funny. 1,000,000%. I can't decide if him or Olivia is a bigger wild card, but
They're wild cards in like different ways.
very different ways.
Yeah,
Like
but I
she's
have
like,
no idea what to expect from this man.
yeah, I'm just really excited. I think he definitely is going to cling to working with Allie and CJ, but I also think he's going to play the field,
I
talk
think
to everyone.
yeah, here's the thing here. Okay, let's do strengths first. He
Uh-huh.
is really likable, really outgoing.
Yes.
Like you said, he's going to be talking to everyone. And I think like especially in those first couple rounds, like that is like crucial. Like just having
Yes.
people be like, you know what, I get a good vibe from you. Like that can be
Hmm.
enough to just like get you by.
Genuinely having any kind of conversation is sometimes all you need to do, because a lot of times first boots will go simply because they haven't talked to enough people or like made enough of an impression. And like, especially, I mean, if Zach is doing 2 tribes, like 9-person tribes are, that's going to be big. Like being able to talk to everyone is going to be really
Huge.
important.
Yeah, really huge.
Yeah.
I think he'll do well in competitions.
Hmm.
From what I understand, he is a smart cookie.
Yeah.
And he is pretty physically active as
Yeah,
well.
I think he is a gamer, from what I understand. He has a gamery mind, which I think is always a benefit in this game, especially if you can also balance that out with good social standing as well.
Yeah, I think similar to CJ, but I think even more so, I think he's gonna be someone that can get along with like the boys and the girls.
Hmm. For
Like
sure.
I mean, he can bro down, but he
Hmm.
likes theater. So there's a lot of theater girlies
We do
playing,
have a lot of theater girlies
um,
playing. That's
including
important
me.
to note.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
very disarming. Now, I will
Hmm.
say for weaknesses, I think he's going to play extremely hard
Hmm.
because he's like really passionate about it. I could see him like overplaying like
Definitely.
really early and people being rubbed the wrong way by it.
I could see him being the person that like does something crazy round one and then
Yeah,
everyone just votes him out to avoid whatever that was. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like a
right,
Dominic in Skinny Atlas situation.
correct.
Not that I think that he's going to like shoot himself in the foot or anything, but playing hard off the bat will always get people looking at you. So
Yeah, I could see him like first minute being like, I gotta go look for idols right away. You
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
something crazy like that.
He's definitely gonna be looking for idols and advantages and not ashamed about it.
Yeah, he's a
I'd
little
like to see him.
sneaky
I'd
boy.
like to see him. Yeah, I'd like to see how sneaky he can really be, because he is so like out there, you know.
So it really depends. I think he could be super successful
Hmm.
or like flop really hard, and I don't know if it's anywhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think that he. I do. I was gonna say, I think if he makes it to like the post merge, he has like a really good shot to the end, like just based on his personality.
I 100% agree. Anything else to say about Steven?
No,
Okay, so we're gonna move on to Max.
Max,
My twinsies.
my twin.
So he played last season in Skinny Atlas. He got 9th place. He was the second merge boot. He was not feeling great because he
Hmm.
had bronchitis. So he I don't think he was at an optimal place in like what he could do in his
Hmm.
potential. He
Yeah.
really wanted to play again this time, and I think that he's ready to give it all, go get all
Hmm.
in, if you will.
Yeah.
And he has like one, I think, pretty strong previous allegiance coming in, which is Caroline.
Yes. Yeah. definitely that's like the only person that he game wise has worked with. I'm
And I could see
curious
them
to see
working
if,
together again.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm curious to see if they'll work together again.
Because
In
aside
this
from like the
season.
game, they're also just like friends in real life.
Yes.
Like, we all went to high school together, so this is like,
Mhm.
and and they didn't betray each other in the game, so I don't see why they wouldn't if they were like on the same
Yeah.
tribe. Um,
I do
also,
think that I'm sorry, Zach. I think that Max is someone who will gravitate towards people he already knows,
I
unless they've
agree.
given him a reason not to, you know.
Yeah, like I think even Grant, like I think he was suspicious of Grant, but just because they are so close in real life, he was willing last season to
Yeah.
work with him until he started doing his shenanigans. Even though
Yeah.
he knew he was going to do shenanigans, he said, "You know
Yes.
what? I'm going to give him a chance because,
Yeah.
we're buddies." So I that could be a weakness of him just like blindly trusting the people that
Yes.
he knows in real life.
I do think that he would have worked with me last time had I not like already voted out Caroline.
You know what's so funny? I didn't even put brother-in-law to you on
Wait,
this.
that's unimportant.
So
That's funny.
I don't think, okay, in terms of like outside relationships, I don't think you and I are part of that in terms of like who he's comfortable working with. Like he was
You
against you the second that he
Yeah,
saw
no,
you.
but yeah. But that's because I had already started working with other people. Like, if we're in the same tribe, I don't think that
Yeah,
it's
I guess that's
necessarily going
true.
to be like I'm way more trustworthy than Grant. Come on.
Yeah, that's
Come
true.
on now.
I don't think it's as inherent though, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I
Um,
understand.
so add a little addendum here,
Yeah.
that
Not me forgetting.
brother-in-law to Jess.
And add it to mine. Sister-in-law
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Max. That's funny. Just have to say, this is a fantastic headshot. Max should put this
Incredible. I mean,
on all of his profiles.
the skin looks great, the hair looks great. He's glowing. He's got like a kind smile happening here.
No reason that he needed to look this good for this game where we
The
all
sun is
immediately look
hitting him in a
terrible.
great way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really great.
Wow.
Anything else to say about Max?
I think his biggest weakness is his perhaps unwillingness to be a go-getter, say.
That's true. Yeah.
Get out there, make moves. I think that honestly there is not going to be a ton of tolerance this season for like players who want to just like kind of do nothing and slide by. I feel like it's going to be a more active group of people, and I don't know that anyone is going to want to like let the possibility of someone kind of sneaking their way to the final. So I hope Max is
Yeah.
ready to bring in.
Yeah. Full disclosure, he is sick right now.
Yes, I was literally just thinking
So
because hopefully
we'll
he's recovering fine.
hopefully he's recovering. Can't say what from, just for like, I guess, privacy reasons.
Yeah.
But hopefully he's in full recovery by the time that we
Yeah.
start this. That would be a real shame if he's like still
Yeah.
not feeling well a year later.
Again. Yeah. That would suck.
But I think at least mentally, like he's ready to play. Like I
Yes.
think he knows the mistakes that he made
Yeah.
last year and like doesn't want to do those again. So
Yeah. I also think that again, the risk reward mechanic or whatever is also not going to favor people who want to kind of fly under the radar and play a very floater game.
I think that's
So
true. Any trying to think of any other strengths or weaknesses. He's also someone who like can hold his own in challenges, but like isn't that threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he did good in the challenges last year.
Yeah, and just from talking to people, I think people are and I don't want to say threatening, but they're aware of his challenge performance.
Definitely.
So
No, yeah,
I don't know if
people
that's gonna be like
were
a weakness of his, or it could be a strength, to be honest, for like tribe
it could be
stuff.
a strength for tribe stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Keep
I
him
think
around.
it's more important. Like, I know everyone wants to downplay their threat level, but I actually think it's more important to show that you can show up for the tribe because, like, once you do that, you can guarantee yourself a spot in the merge, and then the game changes. So
Yeah.
like, because you don't want to like you don't want to downplay your threat level so much that it seems like you're useless on the tribe, you know?
Yeah. Right. I mean, you gotta do your best to win
Yeah.
those challenges. It's just
Mhm.
you
For
can't
sure.
not. It's in the tribe section.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's Max. He is going to be playing, and this is his bestie, Vanessa. So they have a little sub bond that's definitely going to be a part of this. I have a hard time believing that they will not
Yeah.
want to work together.
I'm sure that they will be working together.
Yeah.
Like,
and I
positive.
think it's going to
I mean,
be
Vanessa
extremely obvious.
Vanessa doesn't really know anyone else, so
Right.
that's a big thing too. So playing with Max is probably going to be pretty integral
Yeah.
for her.
But I think in terms of the duos, they are probably some of the less threatening because they're kind of in their own little pocket.
Mhm.
And I think other duos have like strong presences
Yes.
in at least one participant.
Right, like a network of people around the duo. Yes.
Right. So Vanessa, strength, I think she's very sociable, she's very likable, she's funny. I think she's gonna get along with a lot of people. That, you know, people might just want to keep her around for that. I don't think that she's like super conniving. I don't know her extremely well, so I can't like maybe she's more conniving than I might think, but I think at least in perception that is what she's gonna give off, and people are not gonna be like so like ready to get rid of her super quickly.
Yeah, I don't know Vanessa like at all, but she seems very nice, and I think that that's going to be the primary thing that people take away from working with her.
Super
but
cool. I also think the fact that she doesn't know many people is a strength.
Definitely.
Because people have such a strong network, people are gonna be like, oh well, they're connected to all these people, so we got to get rid of them, and you know, Vanessa can stay and you know just work with Max, which I don't know if that's gonna happen, but you know, maybe that's you know, perception is huge in the game.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll both branch out and work with other people as well. Yeah, and she's a gamer also, right?
Yeah. She definitely is playing the games. I don't know if she's playing like deception games or like you know, social strategy games, but she has a strategic mind in some sense.
I was gonna say any kind of like even just video gaming is going to give you some kind of sense of, you know, what this is all about a little bit.
Yeah. I know she plays in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we have a lot of D&D people here as well.
So like that's a creative side of, you know, her brain. And again, I think that's the connection that she will have with some people because like we're all a little nerdy. Let's just put it out there. So the fact that she fits in that capacity will be an asset for her.
For sure.
With that being said, I don't know a lot of her weaknesses. I guess just the fact that she doesn't know many people, it might be harder for her to make those bonds.
Yeah, I don't really know what her weaknesses would be at this moment, but I'm very excited to see her play.
Very excited. I think she's going to be super interesting to watch and see what she does. So, moving on. Wow, I forgot the order of all these, so
this headshot's crazy.
It's so good though.
It's great, but
if you really zoom in, you can see me taking the photo in his sunglasses.
I can't believe that he put the sunglasses on for this picture.
All right, so let's talk about Grant. 5th place last season against all odds. He was targeted.
Against all odds.
He was targeted from the beginning. And he's a scrappy one. He made it nearly all the way. If he had won that last immunity challenge, I think we would be having a different conversation.
Definitely. Definitely, yes.
So let's just talk about allegiances before we talk about his strengths and weaknesses. You guys had a final 2. However, you kind of betrayed him, and I don't think that he is necessarily willing to forgive you in a game capacity
Yeah.
so quickly.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I think that
Gabby,
he
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
I think that he might pretend like he's forgiven me. But as we've discussed, he's a schemer, and I don't think that despite the him being upset about the schemer allegations, I think he might be coming in with a little bit of a schemy game plan here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Also he worked with Gabby and Ella. I think
Mhm.
probably equally, they ended in a good place game wise. I think that they
Mhm.
could potentially work together again.
Yes, I definitely agree that they could be a trio again because they were kind of like unknowingly a trio almost. Like I don't know that they really realized how much of a trio they were because I don't think that it was like I don't think the Coconuts tribe divide was so obvious in the game, but it really did end up breaking down to like me and Zach and then them three. So
Yeah, I think there's definitely still a level of trust that they
for
could
sure.
tie in. Let's talk about strengths.
Strengths, he is I don't I don't
I
know how
think
to
he's
put
someone
this.
who's extremely adaptable.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yes, I agree. He just will run around and do anything to do it, you know?
Um,
And I think that that is a good thing, even though it got him potentially in some sticky situations. As long as he doesn't overdo it, it's a very good quality.
yeah, and like with a game like this, especially Zach, I think he's gonna have a lot of twists in play. I think
Mhm.
that someone like Grant is going to be able to roll with those punches and like maneuver them in some capacity. I think he's also going to be able to take risks.
For sure.
Um, and he is also loyal, which I think is
Yeah,
important.
he loves the game risk. Um,
Th- that is true. He's a
um,
worldly man.
I was gonna say I've said this about so many people, but he is also very charismatic and likable.
Yeah.
Especially when he meets people. Like he's good at meeting people for the first time and making a really good impression. God, we have a lot of people like that. I think maybe I have an uphill battle. um, because I that we should have put that on my weaknesses list. Um,
That
but
you're
the
not good at making first impressions.
yeah. And talking to new people. Luckily
Well,
I do know most of these people, so I think it's not going to be a huge issue. But
yeah.
the yeah, he really broke ground last year on the Coconut Tribe. He didn't know most of those people, and a lot of everyone was really excited to have them on their tribe. They really enjoyed his presence on the tribe. He's a very good team player in that
Hmm.
capacity as well. So I think he keeps tribe morale up very well in that
Yeah.
way.
And I think he's also someone who can very much hold his own in challenges in a physical and mental
Yes,
capacity. So
agreed.
if as long as he's not doing anything crazy or, if he's like maintaining his threat level, I think he can at least make it to like late pre-merge.
I also think his ability to like deflect and distract could be useful if used the right way. And I think if he can figure out how to walk the line of like being loyal but also being sneaky without kind of going in like the extremes of either direction, I think that he'll be like golden because he's a good liar. He has a very good like he I think he would know when to talk, when not to talk, if he can just sort of figure out how to like maintain that he is being loyal while still scheming,
Yeah, I
because
think
I feel
that's
like he
true.
tends to either go one way or the other. He's either like I'm Mr. Honesty or I'm like a little villain, and I think that
Yeah.
you need to play both.
Yeah. So I guess that's like partially a weakness.
Yeah.
Also I think he's a little too creative sometimes,
Yes.
in the way that
He has
is,
visions of grandeur, you could say.
which are great, but you gotta get everyone else on board, and if
Yeah.
like they're not buying what you're selling, you gotta, you have to think about the fact that people might not be
Yes.
willing to purchase what
For sure.
you've
What
presented,
you're selling. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that yeah, I mean you said that he was adaptable and I think that's true, but I also think he's stubborn.
Yeah.
Um in this at the same time, because there were so many moments where he was kind of trying to peddle a plan to people, if you will, and they were straight up being like, no, it's not happening, and he would just sort of be like, yeah, sure, but this is how, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't hearing what people were telling him, like straight up. I think he could be a better listener for sure. A little bit more observant, talk a little less, witness a little more. Those
Right,
would
but he's
help
got the
him.
brain for it, as long
For
as
sure.
he's like able to like read what people are putting down and adapt in that way. I think like he's a really
For
strong potential character here.
Definitely. I think people should be afraid.
Be very afraid.
And I am.
Yeah. Well, I will say that is, I think, a part of his weakness actually is I think he does have a target on his back from last year, because he was getting to the end against all odds. He was like very like schemy, sneaky. I think people are very aware of his performance last year. And if we're doing fire again, I think it's still going to be an issue for him, because he is someone who definitely can make fire. I do think there are more people on the cast who are able to do that now. So I don't know if it's going to be like a just him situation.
I do think that there's also probably going to be a perception from specifically the returning players who allowed him to get so far, that like maybe we should just nip it in the bud. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like can't let it happen again.
Yeah, like we were so close to almost losing it all because we let Grant get so far. Like, I think that might stint his time on the season a little bit if he's playing similarly, and like people are like looking at. I don't think he's going to be able to slide by in the same way he did.
I also think his like unpredictability, it's hard for people to want to necessarily work with him, because they don't know like what he's gonna do, if they're gonna like blow it. Similar in a way that like Olivia, like can you trust him to like just like keep it cool, like not blow a plan up? Not that he's gonna tell people, but like he's just gonna do something crazy, and then like you have to like manage the situation that he just he just set a fire over there. Now you got to put it out.
Exactly.
So
I
because he's so good at making fires.
So true. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot.
Okay. Well, if you think about it, just we can come back.
I'll interject.
Right. So that brings us to Ella. Her first season in Manhattan, she got 9th place, which is out of 12. So she was our 4th?
Yeah, I think 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4th.
Right. She was our 4th boot. But she did get out in a kind of like almost like a Sareed kind of moment in Game Changers, where 2 idols were played and it was between you and her, and she was the one to get the boot. So I don't think she would have necessarily gone as early if things had gone differently. I think she played a good game that season.
Definitely. And she also was like, I think primarily eliminated that round because she was a bigger threat than I was. So it was more, I think
that's definitely true.
Like she was a better player, so that's why she got kicked,
Yeah, that's a scenario of like gone way too soon, like had a lot more to give.
For sure.
But because she went so soon, I think she played a little more cautiously the second year, which did get her into a better place, but she didn't play quite as well. Now, this year, I think because she didn't play like as strong of a game, I don't know that people are thinking about that as intensely. And she could kind of fly under the radar. So I think this could be really good for her.
I think so, and I also think that she is aware of the mistakes that she made from talking to her. I think she knows that she overcorrected and played a little too safe. So I hope that she's ready to come and kind of like me. Honestly, I want to see Manhattan Ella like fully back, because I think that would be really good for this risk taker season. But I do think that we'll probably see as a bit of a happy medium between those two, which I think will ultimately be like the most well-rounded version of her.
Agreed. So let's talk about her allegiances. Gabby and her are very close.
Yes.
outside of the game and inside the game last year. I do think that will probably tie into this
Mhm.
season again. They have a lot of loyalty. They showed it last year to each other.
Yeah.
I don't foresee, unless, they're in like a weird situation, them like not trusting each other.
Mhm. The only thing I'll say, and we haven't quite gotten to it yet, but the fact that Gabby's boyfriend Joe is playing potentially throws a wrench in a possible resurgence of the Gabby Ella duo. I
Yeah.
don't know if Gabby and Joe are planning to work together. We'll talk about that when we get there. But that's a factor that was not here with Skinny Atlas. So
Yeah. I think that's fair. You guys worked together
Mhm.
for both seasons.
Yeah.
But you did kind of betray her.
Mhm.
And in the first season, I think she was kind of gunning for you a little bit.
I think
So
she was definitely playing me. Like, I don't know. I think she
yeah,
was using me for numbers, and playing me for sure.
yeah. So I think that's another scenario, is like, if it works for the two of you, you could do it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily bad blood, but
Right.
um it's not inherent.
Yeah.
Same with Grant, I think.
hmm
Not necessarily
I
bad
think
blood,
she
but
is definitely wary of Grant, as
yeah.
everyone is. I don't think she's more wary than other people, but I think she maybe feels like she knows his game a little better than others because she works so closely with him. And I think you could say the same for Gabby, and would potentially be more willing to revisit that with the knowledge that she has now, possibly.
That's super fair. All right. So strengths for Ella.
Sorry, I was putting lip balm on.
You're good. So we're talking
Um,
about Ella's strength.
yes. Ella's strengths are definitely her. Trying to think of how to say this. She's very like she's kind of slippery, but in like a quiet way. You know what
Yeah,
I
no, I
mean?
I know what you're talking about. It's
Yeah.
very like subtle.
Yeah, it's very subtle. And she also is like never too set on one thing. And she's always kind of looking for like the best like kind of hole for her to get herself
Yeah.
into, like it I think this is best represented by like the one confessional in Skinny Atlas that where she was like, the two names that are being thrown out right now are Grant and Jess. To be honest, I think I could play this game without either of them. Even though we were like her primary alliance, I feel like the fact that she was like, well, if this is what needs to happen, I'm already looking to the next thing. But in like a very like calm way, not in like a
Yeah. I
catastrophizing
think,
way,
yeah,
and
she
just
has a
like
level
this
head for sure.
this is where the chips are falling, and I just need to figure out where to get myself next. And I think she has a very like, yeah, I guess just like a good head on her shoulders in that way.
I agree. I I forgot what else I was gonna say. But like, I think her aura is very like strong. I think the way that she presents ideas, like, it's not very like pushy. Like, it's very like,
Yeah,
we're in this together. Like, you and
right.
I collectively, like, we need to do something about
hmm
this.
Yes.
And this is good for both of us. Like, we're
Yeah.
coming up with this idea together right now. Even if like
Yeah.
she's fully just come up with it.
Yeah.
It, at least the way that I was reading it while I was like watching it, like, it seemed like if it was happening to me, I think I also would have been like sucked in and been like, yeah,
Yeah.
oh, we have to do that.
For sure. I think she was really good at, yeah, subtly kind of driving the plans to go perhaps like it reminds me of like with the Max vote. Like she was the most effective at like getting the coconuts to be fully on the Max side versus Dylan. Like but without it being obvious that she was the one who was doing it,
Yeah,
you know.
I would agree with that. I
I
think
do
she
think oh sorry, no, go ahead.
no, go.
I just was gonna say I do think that, however, she also tends to, and I guess this is moving more towards weaknesses, she tends to panic a little bit when things start to not go her way. And I think she starts to kind of like freak out a little bit and like doesn't necessarily know what to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say for the round that she was getting voted out, she knew she was getting votes. There wasn't a ton that she was able to
Mhm.
do to switch it, which is why she was panicking. Like she
Yeah.
was trying really hard to try to flip it in certain ways, which
Yeah.
I think is a strength.
Yeah.
Like she's always gonna like give her all. But I think when you're like when you know that you're going and like you know
Yeah.
that everything you're throwing at the wall is not sticking.
Yeah.
I mean I would panic too.
Yeah. 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 But like, I mean, it is always better to not panic. But
Yeah.
I also am mostly thinking of the max vote out round, which is what led me to, jump from point A to point B. When like she was immune, but she was like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like, even though she was safe, she was like not quite sure what was happening.
that's
She was
fair.
like kind of like feeling a little bit like frantic about like what was happening until we were able to like finally like lock in and get a plan together.
Yeah.
But
That's
definitely
that
totally normal to panic. I mean,
yeah, definitely
I was
fair.
doing my fair share of
Can't say
panicking.
I'm not gonna panic. I'm,
Yeah.
trying my hardest. I will also say she's really good at taking small bits of information and like, kind of blowing them up. Um,
Yes, that's very
in a
true.
way that isn't not true, but
Hmm.
like it's true, but you've amplified it to a degree that it is a slightly dishonest, but like if
Right.
someone were to confront you about it, like it's not wrong.
Right. For sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that's something she's really good at.
Yeah.
And it works. I think it's really smart.
Yeah. Yeah. She's really good at swaying things to be in her favor in that way.
Yeah. I mean, she did it with the Surratt thing. She did it with Justin
Justin. Yeah.
wanting to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
like I think that can be a really good asset for her. I think she's got a really
Yeah.
good shot. In terms of negatives or weaknesses, I think she is also someone who's on the weaker side for challenges.
Hmm.
At
Yeah.
least historically.
Yeah.
Like she is a smart person, she has a creative mind, but she hasn't quite proven herself yet. So if that
Hmm.
continues with this bigger cast, it's possible that people might need to get rid of her.
Yeah. I also think, I don't know. My one thought about her weaknesses in Scan were that moment where she like didn't trust me enough to tell me where the flag was and like made it obvious that that was why she wasn't telling me. You know what I mean? And I don't know where exactly that falls in a weakness. I think it
Right. No,
probably falls in
I
the
think it's
paranoia.
because yeah, she's so um like I think because she's not like doesn't have inherent loyalty to anyone, like she's
Hmm.
kind of does have that like anyone but me
Yeah.
mentality. Uh
Yes.
it like the distrust can be a negative.
For sure. I would, yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. It's like because she's slipping and sliding into all these places that like to find the most optimal like notch for herself, it means she's not forming like real bonds that can be
Yeah.
used in like a real trustworthy way.
Yeah. And she's like willing to get rid of anyone, which is good,
Yes.
but there's like a line there.
Right. Right. Then like it's if you are willing to get rid of anyone and you're not forging like valuable relationships, then when you get to the end game, it's not going to be as good for you.
Yeah.
Because that means other people are more willing to get rid of you if they feel like you haven't made the effort to form that
Yeah.
relationship with them.
So she's got to remain cautious, but not too
Mhm.
cautious.
Yes. And I think that does like that is sort of the leap that she did. The backslide that she did for Scan was she was
Right.
really good at forming relationships in Manhattan, and then that's the aspect of it that she lost in
Right.
Scan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. Anything else on Ella?
Nope.
Okay. And now we're moving on to Gabby, our fourth place finisher in Skinny Atlas.
Yes.
She is coming this season with her boyfriend Joe. That I don't know if they're going to work together. He's they're both gamers.
Hmm.
So I don't think if in terms of like people coming in with partners, this is like I think the least lock to like
I would agree.
be like intertwined.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I do think that it's helpful to mention that they both are very into Blood on the Clock Tower, which is a very intense deception mafia-esque game.
Mhm.
And I think that them playing that frequently with each other adds to that lack of need to work together, because I don't think
Right.
that they're often working together in that way. So
Mhm. Yeah. So let's talk about the previous allegiances and then we'll go on to our strengths and weaknesses.
mhm,
So Ella, we've talked about a little bit. You work together in like a tribe capacity, but
mhm.
not that strong of a bond.
Yeah, not really.
In a game sense, and then Grant.
Yes. I think that we've
Um,
kind of covered every aspect of this a little bit in
yeah.
our talking, but I think that she's definitely going to be wary of Grant regardless of their history.
Hmm.
And I also think that she would probably be most likely to work with Ella out of these three people.
Yeah.
I think that me and Gabby are kind of coming in with like a clean slate because we didn't have such an intense um like we didn't create like a final two or anything like I did with the rest of the coconut. So I mean, I don't know if she like would feel as betrayed potentially by me as the other people did. Or like whether she would like hold that against me or whatever. So I feel like I could see us working together in like a normal way, like regardless of our history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strengths.
Strengths. Definitely good at challenges.
Yeah.
uh Smart, and physical. Both of
Hmm.
those she did well at. I know she was surprised that she did so well at them, but she did end up winning two challenges, which is a pretty good ratio considering I think most people only won one, if any. So that was pretty
Right. And
good.
she really did like she hung in there with the tribe stuff and like
Definitely.
pretty physical way. Like,
Yes.
and she's pretty tiny, so like you wouldn't
Hmm.
expect that, but
Yeah.
she was in there. She was doing her
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, she was
Um,
definitely valuable.
I think also she's a really like social person. She's very
Hmm.
like fun to be around. She's someone that I think people can get along with very easily.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
people might gravitate towards her,
I
especially in like the
agree.
early game.
Yeah, and again, that's valuable with like the new players as well. If you're able to break ground with people that you don't already know. Um, I honestly think her having Joe in the game is going to be a negative for her.
I think that's true. I will, before we move on to the negative, I just want to
Yeah.
say, I think she's also good at like creating camaraderie, in
Hmm.
like a similar way that Ella is, but I think
Yes.
Ella's a little more like intentional about it, where hers is just
Hmm.
more like natural, which I think is almost better because people don't think that
Hmm.
she's like doing it in a game way.
Yeah,
And I think that
for
she is
sure.
someone like you can trust. I don't think she's
Yeah,
like has a lot of ulterior motives.
definitely. She was very trustworthy when I was on an alliance with her. And in the tribe portion of the game, the camaraderie thing is very true. She's very good at creating like an us and them mentality, which can be good if you're trying to keep your tribe alliance together. I think it was effective in keeping like the Coconuts Five as strong as it was, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the weaknesses and the Joe of it all. So you
The
said
Joe of
that
it all.
the Joe of it all, I agree. I think because they are so into specifically Blood on the Clock Tower,
Yeah.
which is a deception based game and they play it very often,
Hmm.
they're now being seen as a very like strategic pair that is now
Yes.
maybe like inseparable. Now, whether or not that is true is to be seen. But I
Yes.
think a lot of people are going to be thinking that. But I think potentially if they can get in with other people that are not in those groups, it might not matter so much.
Yeah, I fear that she is going to be potentially held responsible for perhaps crazy things that Joe does. Maybe just by default, depending
Like
on how.
collateral damage,
Yes,
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if he makes a crazy move, which I think he's likely to do, and we can get to that later, and it goes badly, I think that some of that fallout could definitely be on Gabby if there's suspicion that any suspicion at all that they're working together.
Yeah,
So
I think
it's
that
almost
is
like
true.
half her game, like potentially could be out of her control if people are associating them.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think, I guess this is a strength, but I don't think she's coming in with a target on her back inherently outside of that.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, I guess in terms of weaknesses, I think this is part of the strength, because she's not being targeted for it. But last season she wasn't making a lot of like decisions on her own, so people weren't giving her that credit. And when if you get to the end, you know, you need to be able to sell moves that you did. So even if she had gotten past 4 to the final 3, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think she would have had the argument to why she specifically earned it over other coconuts.
Yeah, I think you're right. But she is a very good speaker, and that
she's a very good speaker.
Noted, because if she does have an argument to sell, she'll sell it well. If she's to get to the end. So I think that that's also something to note. I do think one thing that was a negative for her in Scan was when she was blindsided, she got very emotional and angry.
Yeah, I think specifically when it's someone that she's close with outside the game, like Ella, or, you know, if she ends up working with Joe, I think it could be in a similar way. I think, you know, there's just like another layer to it that makes it more of an emotional reaction.
Right. And her like both being close to Ella and being blindsided about Ella leaving, but also Allie being the one to do it. And then they're also close. So her lashing out at someone for someone she is close with outside of the game for betrayal within the game is potentially a weakness, but it's also something that other players should maybe be aware of as well. When working with her. But I do think the good thing about it is that, like, even though she was upset, it's not like she like let it dominate the rest of her game. Like, she was able to get over it very quickly afterwards. So that's definitely an upside.
Yep.
Because some people wouldn't be able to let it go, but she was very easily able to just sort of move on.
Right. Not necessarily holding grudges here. Okay. Which brings us to Joe. He is it's the first time he's playing Silly Goose Survivor. However, as you can see from this picture, he was the host and game maker of a different Survivor game. He also has played another Survivor game. So he does have some experience in this field. So in terms of first-time players, I think he's someone who's going to have a bit of a target on his back.
Definitely. I mean, he owns that hat, so that's already a negative.
He owns the hat. He's also just he's very creative. He definitely has a strategic mind. And I don't think people are gonna take that lightly. Like, at least people that know him.
Definitely. He's also someone that likes to do like flashy moves. Kind of in like a Grant-esque way, I would say, if I had to equate it with a past player. He likes to be like whipping out idols where he can and that kind of thing.
In this last season that he played, which is not gonna be online anywhere, so I'm not like spoiling or anything. He did like fashion a fake idol, and people are aware of that, so it's you know, the fact that he's like able to like think that quickly and adapt and like make something like that, like people are gonna be looking at him for sure.
Yeah, I also think on the same vein, he is like proud of moves like that, and thus is maybe not super aware of how to downplay that. Like, if he does a move he's excited about, he's not necessarily going to keep it to himself. Which can...
And from what I understand from that game, he did kind of brag about it, which got him voted off like very quickly after. So maybe he's learned from it. Maybe he's learned from it. Gabby also did play that game with them, but she was gone very early. I think because of him. I think people
there you go.
I think so. I think They were on separate tribes, but
Mhm.
and I could be
Oh,
wrong
was it
about
like
this.
was it like an Amber and Robin Winners at War situation?
Exactly.
Wow, there
They're
we
like,
go. There we
well, we
go.
gotta like, weaken Joe over
Cut
here.
him off at the legs, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
From what I
Wow, I
understand,
didn't know
that's what
that.
happened. So, yeah.
That's
I mean, I
funny.
think he's gonna be
But yeah,
super interesting
yeah.
to watch play.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what he brings to the table. I'm terrified to play with him. I
Yeah.
don't
He's
think that
scary.
he's not going to be someone that you are not sure what he's doing. I don't think. I think that he's going to be playing like out in the open, but in like a look over here kind of way. So
Mm,
I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of afraid.
yeah, that's fair. I also think he is someone who's very like challenge sound. I know he's like a
Mhm.
runner. I would
Mhm.
imagine that he's probably pretty good at puzzles. I don't know for
Yeah, he
sure,
seems
but
like it.
he seems like he has that kind of brain.
Yeah, he definitely is another one of the gamer brains, game bot esque people, but in a little bit less of a uh like mental chess way and more of a like, yeah, I'll make a fake idol and I'll sell it to you if you vote my way kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
very strategic.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel that we've covered it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say at the end of the day, huge wild card. Because I do also think this is another person that you're not really going to be able to plan for.
Yeah. But regardless, he's a great addition to this
Yes,
cast.
definitely. We have some extremely fun people coming on this season, and like it's just gonna be really fun. I'm excited.
And Nick is one of them.
And Nick is one of them. Here we
Nick is
go.
someone that has not been able to do it at the last minute 2 years in a row
Mhm.
now. And I
Yeah.
swear to God, if I have to edit this out, I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
No, but we love Nick. He is a really, really sweet guy. He's someone like who's very optimistic. I think like he has a
Oh
very
yeah.
like infectious like energy
Mhm.
to him. Like I think he's someone who's like going to like have a really like tribe morale thing going for
Mhm.
him.
Yeah. Oh, he
I
does
think
love to. Yeah, he loves to hype up his teammates.
yeah, he's just I think he's someone that you just want to be around.
Yeah, for sure. He's
Yeah,
extremely charismatic.
really
Once again.
likable. But he right. All the
Once again.
interesting all
So
the men
all
are
the men
charismatic
are very charismatic and
and the
likable.
women are suck.
Are
Just kidding.
suck.
Are
The women are
sucking.
suck.
The women are suck. No, but I do think this very strongly. We have a lot of very inherently likable men on this cast. Didn't
Yeah.
think, but I guess that makes sense. For who I would like to be around in a
Yeah.
male capacity,
For sure. We don't have any bad men on the cast.
or in my life,
Or in my life. It is so true.
right? No, but I think he's also someone who could do well in challenges, at least
Yeah, definitely.
physically. He's
Definitely.
very
Yeah.
he's fit.
He's definitely
I
fit.
think he's someone who could panic a little bit in a
Mhm.
mental capacity. Not that
Oh
he is
yes.
not smart. He is very smart, but I think he
I
can get in his
he's
head a little bit.
he's very
So,
smart. I don't think he has what I would call a puzzle brain.
oh, sorry.
I would
Now that you've mentioned that, wait, let's tell a little story. We're gonna take you on a
no,
little
no, no,
story.
no. The story's so long.
I mean, you can just
Yeah.
keep it brief.
Okay, well, basically, we were playing a video game, The Last of Us Part 2, and we're watching him play it, and we had already played it, and we got to a puzzle-esque portion of the game, and we not remembering what the answer to the puzzle was. We're all like, oh, that's obviously the answer. He'll fix it. He'll finish it very quickly. We sat there for probably how long? 30 minutes?
It was a long time.
Was it 30 minutes? It
I
was
think
at
it might have
least
been
like
like
20
25.
minutes.
Yeah.
We sat there for so long before he finally
And we gave him
actually
so many hints, like
did he figure it
explicit
out
hints.
or did we tell him? Because I
We
can't remember.
we really nudged him in the right
Yeah,
direction.
yeah.
I totally forgot about that. You're so right. He does not have a puzzle brain.
Well, I remember we were talking. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I recently replayed all the Uncharted games, and I was like, "Oh my god, Nick, you should play Uncharted." And he was like, "All I know is it's very puzzle heavy," and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
boy."
I think he's just someone who like overthinks
Definitely.
things.
That's definitely what it is. Like, he
Yeah.
thinks that the answer is going to be more complicated than it actually ends up being.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think he's gonna be
that's
fine with like something like memory though. I'm not concerned
yeah, I
about
think
that.
I think he has a good memory.
You can't
Yeah.
overthink that. Um
No.
yeah.
And
That
well, unless you overthink it while you're memorizing it and then you
oh
don't
geez.
actually memorize the stuff.
Yeah. So I guess that's a another weakness for him.
Yeah.
Just to like roll off is like I think he can get kind of like overwhelmed with like too much like information or like this game can get very crazy if a lot's going on. I think he can get kind of overloaded and not know what to do.
Yeah. I think also an anecdote is when we play catchphrase with him, he like freaks out because the buzzer's ticking down. I don't know that he's gonna be great on like a timed capacity.
Yeah, no, he's someone
yeah.
that's like wait
Yeah, but I think other than that, he's very well rounded otherwise. I
Yeah.
also think a huge plus for him is even though he is strong physically, I don't think that he is like so obviously like gonna be like one of those
Yeah.
guys that's dominating challenges. Like, he's able to downplay that a little bit.
Yeah.
And like even like we were like talking about like how he would obviously win in like an arm wrestling competition, whatever. He was like, no, like everyone's really good at arm wrestling. It's like, all right, well. But
I did what I could.
That ability to like deflect from himself and be like, no, we're all good at this, I think could help him deflect his threat level potentially.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Any other weaknesses?
I mean, just the fact that he doesn't know what to expect is he's a first time player. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
really ready for the mental stress that comes with the game.
Yeah, I think that's true. The fact that he's watched some Survivor is
Yes.
already a leg up from some people who for some
Definitely.
reason refuse to watch it.
Yes.
It blows my mind that we haven't
Yeah.
watched a single season, but
Yes.
whatever. But yes, I think the fact that he has never done something like this is a downfall.
I do think that he is one of those people that's going to come in and be like, oh, I'm ready to make big moves. I'm ready to take risks. And then when push comes to shove, I think he's maybe going to play a little scared. That's my biggest fear for him as a player. But
Yeah.
I really hope that he can like pull out, get himself in a good spot and like be able to play from a good place so he's not like freaking out, because I want to like watch him play it.
I think he's like someone who can really slide by.
I definitely think that's true.
Yeah,
I don't think he seems very threatening.
I have a good feeling about him. Yeah, so any other weaknesses?
No, not that I can think of.
All right, so we are going to move on to Dom, who was in our first season of Manhattan and is very special in our hearts because he is the first ever boot of the Silly Goose Survivor franchise.
He's also the originator of the Dominic first boot situation. Wait, we forgot to talk about if we go from season 1, Dom, season 2, Dominic, season 3, potentially Nick could go first. So we can't discount that.
Next season we have to get someone named Nicole.
Yes, exactly.
And then the next season, Cole. You just got, it's just like
Colleen.
And then Lena. Oh my god. It just like it keeps
going.
Evolving like a Pokemon.
We don't know anyone by those names. We'll have to
find some people.
But we do have a Nick, so I think that the chances that Nick go first, they're not 0.
Well, you can say that about anyone, really. But yes, it is worth noting that the Dominic curse is very real. When we, obviously in Manhattan, he got it out first. in Skinny Atlas, our other Dominic got out first. And then in our Brant Steele that we did with both casts from both seasons, Dom went first, and then on the other tribe, Dominic went first.
Yep, that was crazy.
Like absolutely cuckoo crazy town.
Yep.
So I mean, I hope and pray that this doesn't happen for him, because that would be
Yep.
so
Oh my God.
sad.
I'm gonna be so real. I don't think that I could actually vote out Dom first.
That would be so
if
tragic.
push comes to shove.
Would be kind of funny.
It would be really funny, but I don't think I could do it because like I already felt bad about doing it the first season, so I don't know if I can handle that bad karma following me through the rest of the season.
Right. Yeah. Understood. He is also married to Liz. And I think that was a big reason that he got out the first time.
Yeah.
So I imagine that he's going to be a lot more wary to work with her, or at least very openly, very quickly.
For sure. And I also think he's at a better place because we have a lot of couples playing. It's not going to be like, I mean, it won't be like it's one couple on one tribe and another couple on another tribe. Like there's more people and duos at play here. So I think that he has a better shot this time.
Yeah, agreed. But I think the fact, it's not even necessarily that they were married. I think just the fact that they came together so quickly and made it so obvious that they were going to be like working together and be loyal to each other was a mistake. So
yeah,
I think at least they're not going to be so obvious about it. You know, in this bigger cast, you know, make sure to talk to other people.
Yeah.
But with that being said, strengths, I think he is someone who can provide for the tribe.
In what capacity? Winning the challenges.
He's good at fishing. No, I'm just kidding. He's really good at making shelter.
Look at this guy. He's a hunter-gatherer.
He's a hunter-gatherer. I mean, he's Italian. He's gonna provide. No, but I think he's someone who definitely can contribute in challenges, especially like physical. Yeah,
I do think that I remember he like immediately discounted his puzzle ability in season 1, and that was part of why he was voted out first. So hopefully he can at least keep his weaknesses like more to himself, especially with the new people. And you know,
I'm not sure like how bad at puzzles he actually is.
I was gonna say, I don't even think that is really true, or as true as he was making it out to be, but it's just not something you want to say on day 1, you know?
Yeah.
Like, don't trust me with the puzzles, guys. I'm not gonna be so good at it.
Yeah. Right, because he probably is like just okay at puzzles, which like most people are, right?
Yeah.
But when he said like, you know, I'm not great at the puzzles, like people were thinking, wow, he must be terrible at them. He's never going to help our tribe.
He also sucked at the throwing. I need to be so clear. He was really bad at the like tossing.
It was an acquired skill. I think other throwing based challenges he would do pretty well at because he has played multiple sports.
Yeah. He's very physically strong.
Yeah,
we needed to have kept him around for the carry the weight of your tribe challenge.
But also I will say that he is someone who is super likable. He's really funny.
Once again, charismatic man that we have.
The charismatic men. They're here.
They're all gonna win. They're all gonna win.
Yeah, but it is true though. And he's someone who is disarming. Which is what we've heard about so many of these men. Wow, what a common thread.
Yeah, wow.
Haven't thought about that, but here we are.
You're realizing some things here.
I mean, I think it's good though. I think I'm realizing it's a good thing about the people in my life.
Take this as evidence that Kay didn't stack the cast in her favor, because she never would have cast so many charismatic, likable men.
Yeah. Anyone who's good at this game should have never been on that. I just put it with a bunch of people who have never seen the season or like know who I am.
Or don't even like care to play. It's just like,
yeah.
Very,
first and foremost, we're here for good television, and I'm so excited about this cast. This is a really dynamic group.
This
that
is a
we
very
have
good
here.
cast. Dare I say the best cast so far?
It's super balanced. Like I
Yeah.
don't think it's like weighing in anyone's like favor or against anyone particularly. And Dom is a part of that.
I also think us having so many people is like that provides to the balance and like the spread of different skills that we have with 18 players. Like that's a lot.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't. All those charismatic men in one room is gonna be so scary. All right.
Any other weaknesses for Dom? I feel like we've mostly talked strength.
Um, I will also say for strength, I think he is a pretty strategic person.
Yes.
Like I think he is like someone who can like think about like these scenarios, adapt, and like be like cutthroat if he needs to be. I don't think inherently he's going to work with Liz.
Yeah.
I think he is someone, him particularly, he would be willing to cut her if he needed to.
Yeah.
Which is a strength,
I think that's true. I think that's true. For sure.
Honestly, I can't think of many weaknesses for him, which is funny because he was the first boot. Other than I think he like, you know,
I
put his foot
think
in his
I
mouth a
think
little
that
bit.
I was gonna say I think maybe keeping his cards close to his chest would be better. Something he did in Manhattan was I think he was playing a little too hard, a little too fast, which I think is totally fair considering the time constraints we were on. But our tribe was very reluctant to start strategizing, and he was the first to kind of be like, it's us versus them, like within the tribe, I mean. So like already kind of causing divide within the tribe is maybe gonna get people looking at you in a bit of a negative way.
Yeah. I think he's someone who's gonna thrive a little bit more with the time expansion.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Manhattan was a very hard skill to have to be able to play in such a short form capacity. Like I obviously did not do well at that, and I did much better with a longer game.
Totally different games. This is a totally different game. So many more people. Like it's gonna be a lot more like twist oriented.
Definitely.
So different skills, different seasons.
Yep.
Which I think is an interesting part of this. All right.
Yeah.
So that's Dom. And I believe this is our last contestant.
I think so.
Liz, who is married to Dom. She was out 10th, right after Dom, the first chance that she could be voted out. I don't know if it was like, I don't know. I think a lot of it was time constraint. I think she could have been.
She was not like, this was not her fault. Like her being voted out was not her fault. It was like we truly didn't talk for more than like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we like decided on a person like on our way to tribal. And I think that like most of the reason why we chose her is just because Dom had just gone, and so we were like, okay, it's time for Liz. Like, because we had like the reason Dom had went was like 4 of us voted for Dom, so it was everyone who voted for Dom then just voted for Liz because she was basically on the outs, which I don't think was like a smart move. Like I don't think that that's indicative of her game at all, really. It was just sort of like the circumstance of like not having any time to talk.
Yeah, so I think she also had just like a stronger presence, even though she did go out right after him. I think again it was circumstantial, but she was like doing well in the challenges. Like she had a good like tribe mentality.
Definitely.
She had like good bonds with people and was having like good conversations for the most part. But it just, you know, the cards fell where they fell. I will say I don't know if she's as strategic as I would think Dom is. I think she's someone who's kind of just going to go with the flow.
Definitely agree. I think that and that's kind of what she was like doing in like the vote where we got rid of her, was like she was really willing to kind of vote for anyone it like if you had told her to. So that was sort of a benefit. It's a benefit of her game in like in the way that it doesn't necessarily draw people's attention to her. But at a point you do have to start making your own, you know, calls. She just wasn't given enough time to even try. So
yeah. So I mean, she could come in here and really surprise us. We haven't seen a lot from what she can do. So we will see. She does know a fair amount of people on the cast as well as Dom. So she can use that to her advantage.
she's another wild card character potentially, especially if she links up with, say, Caroline.
Caroline.
The
we
two
were all
of them
thinking it.
together are gonna cause some chaos, I think.
Yeah. I think she's gonna thrive the most if Caroline is with her.
Yeah, I think the two of them could be a very fun, kind of like strategic, but also like lighthearted duo.
Yeah, that's a dangerous duo right there.
Definitely.
Forget about Dom.
Yeah, forget about Dom. Dom's gone first. We already know this.
I mean, we have to keep with the bet at this point.
No, yeah.
Just kidding.
It's
just
either
kidding.
it's
We're
either
no
gotta be
pre-gaming, no pre-gaming. I'm just kidding.
it's either gotta be Dom or Nick, because you know Dom and Nick. So
Exactly.
it's really
Right.
one or the other.
Yeah. Anything else on Liz?
Nope.
I think that's it. So
Mhm.
that is our cast for Survivor All In. Super excited. As we said, this is like, I think I've been more excited for this cast than any other cast, even though I'm scared of a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I think even if I go early, I'm going to be happy with the product with this cast.
Yeah, I think that this is like actually a terrible situation for me. I think that I am not suited for this group of people. In the same way that I was for the people playing Scan. So I'm a little worried for my own sake, but I do think that this is going to be like probably the most entertaining season in terms of content. So
I hard agree. And we are going to be doing a Brant Steele, which is going to very accurately predict what's going to happen in the season. So we're really excited. We're going to see who's going to win
we're gonna
the
find
season.
out we're gonna find out what happens like before it's even filmed. So that's really exciting.
Really exciting. So look out for that. I guess if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch it.
I will say if Dom or Nick go first in the Brant Steele, it's prophecy. It's happening
prophecy.
that way. There's no way that can be incorrect if one of those two are first.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Brant Steele is like a simulator that is like totally randomized, just so we're clear. This is not a real prophecy, but it's going to be super fun. The last one we did was really, really fun, and I'm excited to do it again.
Yeah, if you want to watch our Survivor Scanhattan Brant Steele, that is on our channel, where we combined the casts of Manhattan and Skinny Atlas, but it also kind of, you know, brings together some of the people who are playing together. So we kind of will have multiple different prediction options for this season.
Really huge. Super excited for the season. We in real life are going to be playing in about a week. Yeah. I'm so excited, so nervous. But you know, it's gonna happen the way it happens. We've been waiting a year, and
yeah, this has legitimately been planned like since Skinny Atlas was like being edited. So it's been a long time coming.
May the cards fall where they fall in the casino theme.
In the gambling casino.
In the gambling casino theme. All right. And with that, I think the ma'ams are going to sign off.